Hey everybody, Penguin here. This is going to be part 2 of my series about stroke information, and it's going to be about changes that occur after a stroke. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, thanks for coming back. Remember, if any information here helps you or if you have any questions, like and subscribe below. That helps me out. And ask your question in the comments and I'll help you out, or I'll try to. Remember, I will never give advice. The only advice you'll get from me is to call 911 if you think you're having a stroke or anything else. Now, today we're going to talk about changes caused by a stroke. You know that you're going to have some things that are going to be different when you have a stroke because a part of your brain got injured. And we say injury because your brain controls how you think, move, act, feel, communicate, basically everything. After a stroke, some or all of these things in your brain are going to be affected. Therefore, it's going to cause changes in your life. Changes are common no matter which side of the brain or hemisphere that the injury took place. Others are based on which side the stroke actually happened on. And we call this an injury because it's an injury. It's not like, being in a car wreck and getting hurt or playing football and getting hurt, that type of injury. But it is trauma caused to an area, and that's pretty much what the definition of an injury is trauma caused to an area of the body. So, what are the common effects of a stroke? Everybody knows the signs of a stroke. Everybody knows the physical characteristics: droop, mouth, slurred speech, can't move your arm, can't move your leg, things like that. And you have the weakness on the side of your body. That's called hemipheresis. Okay, basically hemi, left to right. Hemisphere, left, right. Then you have dysphagia, which is difficulty speaking or slurred speech, as you can see with me. And you have hemiplegia, which is paralysis on one side of the body. Mine was the left. Fatigue, you're tired. Man, stroke. One of the reasons I think is because you're working hard, you're doing all your rehab and everything, and plus your body heals when it sleeps more so than any other time. So I think the more you sleep, the more you heal. I don't know. I also will have emotional changes as far as the control and the changes in your mood and controlling your emotions as far as crying or laughing or something like that. You just can't control them. And I remember that with mine, I would hear something negative or I would have confrontation and I would just start crying. I'm a grown man. I cried twice in my adult life. One was my son being born and really sick, and the other was my passing of my father. So I can't remember crying any other time. But I would cry at the drop of a hat since a stroke. Not sure. I mean, that's because of that, but I say not sure. Okay, next we have cognitive changes. Problems with memory, judgment, problem solving, or combination of these. One of the things they do in rehab, it's very simple exercises. They get you to put the big pegs over on onto the other peg and change. I mean, just things that work your mind, make you think a little bit. It's actually quite good. Did they make you do that? Because I believe it does help. But your memory, sometimes it drives people crazy because you remember some things, but you don't remember anything. Sometimes you don't remember what foods that you used to like or didn't like. Therefore, your taste change. That happens as well, too. So, your judgment is off a little bit, too. When I say judgment, if you remember, we had the different types of... I haven't even covered that yet. Oh, sorry. Your judgment as far as what you should do, what you shouldn't do. The type of judgment is depending on which side of the brain had the injury. You're going to have behavioral changes, personality changes. Improper language or actions. Now, what that means, sometimes people who swore a lot doesn't swear anymore. Some people who had nice, clean language has a dirty mouth now. And a lot of things that, the actions, just take that for what it is. Sometimes you just do things that are improper. And it's par for the course. Now, common changes with left side injuries. I spoke earlier about Sometimes if it's on the right side, it affects your left side, and when it's on the left side, it affects your right side. But certain characteristics of a stroke only affect those who have a right side or a left side injury, meaning if you have a left side, you have some of these. If you have a right side, you have some of these. So with left side, you have paralysis and weakness of the right side. So we know paralysis, you can't move it, have no control of it. You have aphasia, which means you have problems speaking, getting words out, or understanding what somebody is saying. And you have behavior, here we go, behavior that may be more reserved or cautious, and that's where the judgment comes in. Now, with the left side, with the right side strokes, paralysis or weakness of the left side of the body, which, we understand that. It's called one side or left side neglect. Now, what that means is you lose awareness of the left side of your body. You lose awareness of the left side of your surroundings. And, for example, they may just, if you have a plate of food, they may only eat what's on the right side of the plate and ignore everything on the left just because they don't recognize it being there because they're neglecting that left side. So that's kind of an interesting one, actually. And I had that. I had left side neglect pretty bad from what they said. Now, your behavior may be more impulsive and less cautious than before. So it's the opposite of the left side injury. On the right side, you're less cautious instead of more. It can be harder to understand facial expressions, tone of voice. Basically, if you watch The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon on there, who can't detect sarcasm, he just doesn't have he has a problem reading people. That's pretty much the same thing that this is speaking of, because you can't, tone of voice or a facial expression, you don't know what it means. And you have a hard time expressing yourself sometime with facial expressions and the tone of your voice. You might use the wrong tone at the wrong time, or smile when you want to frown, or frown when you want to smile. So it all depends. So it's tough to communicate sometimes. Now, emotional effects of a stroke. Biggest one is depression. That is the biggest hindrance of rehab that there is. So they treat you for depression, whether you feel like you're depressed or not. They will treat you for depression. I didn't think I was depressed, but they treated me for depression. I mean, did it help? Maybe, probably. I'm not really sure, because I didn't have the option of not being treated for it. But you also have apathy and lack of motivation. Apathy is kind of like feeling sorry for yourself, which you should not do. You shouldn't feel sorry for yourself at all. Lack of motivation, well, that's pretty much what it is. You're not motivated to work. You're not motivated to have rehab and to exercise and things like that. You get frustration, anger, sadness. Yeah, I was angry. I was angry at the situation, but you're going to experience all those frustration because you can't do what you want to do. Even though you're rehabbing it and you're getting better, you just can't do what you want to do. And you have pseudobulbar effect, which is called the reflex crying or emotional liability, meaning emotions change rapidly and sometimes they don't match your mood. And I had this as I spoke earlier about the crying bit. It's a big deal. So the big question is, will I get better? Most people do get better over time, okay? The effects of the stroke, are as far as the paralysis and everything, are greatest like right after the stroke, okay? The onset for the next couple of really weeks afterwards is the worst part of the stroke. But from then on, you should start to get better. Now, how fast and how much depends on how you work. It's how much you rehab and everything. It also depends on the extent of the injury. Whereas mine was a massive stroke. It was very close to midline. I was very close. Didn't know if I was going to make it. You can hear my stroke story on the in another channel, another playlist. But it was tough. So how much you get better really depends on you and your body and how much you want to get better. Some improvement will occur just spontaneously, and it relates to how the brain works after the injury. So don't be upset if you don't get something back right away. I have a buddy who had a stroke in his brain stem, and the only long-term thing that affects him, he's 5 years out, almost 6 years out, is he still can't use his right arm a whole lot. So he's kind of debilitated there. But I mean, he walks funny. His speech and his sight were the biggest things to go. But his sight came back the next day after a stroke. And his speech, it's about 90%. So, I mean, he's doing okay. And he's also a DJ. So it's kind of interesting. I'll put a link to his channel on the bottom down here so you can check it out. He has a thing about a stroke vlog as well too. So my disappointment is I didn't do a daily taping, which I should have done, but didn't do it. Anyway, so the rehab's going to help you improve your abilities and learn new skills and coping techniques. Now, what do you mean by coping techniques? Well, if you can't do this because of this, then do it this way and use this. So if you can't put a sock on two hands, then learn how to put it on one hand. You're coping with the issue. You adjust. You can't put a shirt on with two hands, so learn how to put it on with one. Your rehab is going to begin when the stroke is over, okay, and you're medically stable. What that means is you're past the stroke is done. It's happened. It killed this brain, part of the brain. Now you're ready for rehab. And depending on the person, that could take anywhere from a week, 2 weeks. You just don't know. Now, depression after a stroke can interfere with the rehab. So as we talked about that, it's important to get depression under control. And remember this, guys. Improvement occurs in the first few months. Then it continues over years. Maybe at a slower pace, but it depends on you, okay? They teach you 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and so on. So, a lot happens in the first 3 months, and then 6 months, a year. And that's exactly right. That's how it happens. So, guys, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. You can contact me through the discussion board or anything, but I'll be glad to help in any way I can. Don't forget to like and subscribe down here on the bottom. And actually, subscribe's over, down here. So, all right, guys, this is Penguin Speaks. Until next time, look for my third installment of Stroke Information. This is Penguin Speaks. Peace out.